I've been watching what's happening in Hong Kong of late, where you have these peaceful protesters, absolutely not terrorists. I can assure you of that. But alongside this, you also have the idea of the Chinese social credit system, and many people are against this. 1984, Orwellian, snooping on people, blah blah blah. And I thought to myself, how bad is it? Why do people dislike the idea of this system being implemented? And I think the main issue people have, the main point of concern, is where they talk about, quote, you will lose points if you are posting anti-government messages on social media. That does sound quite bad. However, you need to realise that even us in the West, we are not allowed to post anti-government messages ourselves. You can talk about superficial topics. I want higher or lower taxes. I want more or less public services. We need more police. Give the police tasers. You know, the usual stuff. Brexit, leave, remain. Essentially, they're happy for you to carry on playing in the box they have created, this sandbox. As long as you stay in there and don't leave, you're fine. But if you start criticising the main overarching agenda of all of the Western democracies, and this includes all of the parties, Conservatives, Labour, Republicans, Democrats, their main agenda of, quite simply, the great substitution of the ethnically European people with the third world, and subjects linked to that like race IQ differences, human biodiversity. If you draw attention to this unbelievably important graph showing the mass explosion in the African population, even if you go slightly too hard on immigration at all, if you talk about that, you will be shut down, you will be censored, because that's their policy. The way this is achieved is you have the legacy media, the BBC, the Guardian, CNN, the New York Times, also organisations like the ADL, Hope Not Hate. They will write up a hit piece on someone in our movement, defaming them, slandering them, fascist, far-right, white supremacist. And then they will use that to build up the outrage on social media amongst the SJWs, and in the end, the social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they will ban these people, they will censor them. And what's important is all of the players involved in this situation, they are all on the same side, they are all in alignment, they support the same end goal. And it's all done underhand. And for me, I would much rather have what's happening in China, where it's in black and white. If you are posting anti-government messages on social media, we're going to lower your credit score. That, I have respect for that. At least you know where you stand. In the West, we don't have that. We have this bizarre system where they tell you they're being honest and they're not censoring you. And then you have the likes of James O'Keefe exposing them, these whistleblowers, and they're clearly admitting it. Yes, we are censoring basically anyone to the right, all of the Trump supporters. We can't let another Trump situation happen again. We're seeing that, but they're still lying. And so yes, we're being censored in both situations in the West and in China. It's the same, it's just done in slightly different ways. At this point, I imagine many people are saying, okay, I realise we have authoritarian regimes in the West and in China, but why can't we choose a third option? Why can't we have some sort of fantasy utopia where we all get a unicorn and we can all fly around by flapping our arms? And I think the issue is people have to accept that we live in the real world. We have to understand what reality is. And sadly for me, the best that we can hope for ever, and I mean literally in the past, going forward, in all of time, is to have some sort of benevolent dictator, essentially someone, either a king, a monarch, or a set of people who work as a collective, but they're in control. They are completely, absolutely in control, but their agenda is the betterment of our people. That would be really good, and that's actually what they have currently in China. I'm going to do a second video on this to go into more of the other policies, but essentially what they're doing is they're trying to make China a better place and make their people better, make them more virtuous, more honest, and more hardworking. You get the idea. Imagine if we had a version of this in England, if we had an English and Anglo-Saxon elite that cared about the English people. They wanted to make them the best in the world, to raise them up, and maybe it even stretched over to the United States and Australia, a kind of English empire. Sadly, however, we have the complete opposite. Our elites, their sole purpose, as I've just said, is the ethnic cleansing of white people in every single Western democracy. And even in terms of China, you see how they are dealing with their Muslim population. Yes, it's kind of severe in terms of concentration camps, but they certainly aren't importing more Muslims, are they? They're not importing millions of Africans and various Middle Eastern people. They aren't importing Syrian refugees. They care about the Chinese, and specifically the Han Chinese. It would be like us in England only caring about the English over even the Spanish, the Italians, the Polish, and the Germans. That's how much love they have for their people. Yes, it is authoritarian, but in the end, does it really matter? As long as the end goal is your people being prosperous, being safe, having a homogenous society to live in, what is the issue? Please tell me what the issue is. So, anyway, I will be doing a second video on this topic, looking at the other aspects of the social credit system, but for this one I wanted to really focus on the main issue, the fundamental misunderstanding that we cannot criticise our government. We are not allowed to, and we will be shut down. Essentially, we both live under dictatorships in the West and in China. However, in China, their dictatorship is working for the betterment of their people. Ours wants us dead. Like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, please comment. Ilu Sassoon, peace out.